Good day everybody, it's Darla over at Trying to Be One Smart Cookie, and today I wanted to show you how I do up my meal plans for a week. And by doing this I tend to save some money on my grocery bills as well, because I use what's in the house instead of having everything like in the bottom of the freezer that gets freezer burned. I use what I know I have. And actually for this week I don't believe I have to buy anything except, well, that's not true, I have to buy one thing for it to do a whole week of meals. I'll show you. Let's get to it. Okay, so first of all, you can get yourself something like this. I got this one for Christmas. It's really nice. It has the days of the week, and it has this week, next week, and other stuff. However, the way I do mine up, I'll show you in a minute, I just don't have enough room on this. I think this is going to probably be my chore chart, so that nothing of the house cleaning and such gets left to the side. So, nothing fancy. I have a notebook, and I have February 10th to February 17th on it, which is tomorrow through next Thursday. And then I just write down the days of the weeks here, and then breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Now, in my part of the world, the midday meal is called lunch, and dinner and supper are kind of like the evening meal. So if you hear me interchanging dinner and supper, forgive me, it's just habit. The way I grew up, where I grew up. So before I do any of this, the first thing I do is I look through my cupboards, I look through my fridge, I look through my freezers. I see what I have. And I have that fresh up here so that when I sit down to do my menus up, I know what needs to be used up, how much of each thing I have, and whether or not I need to buy anything, which is great. So let's jump into tomorrow. So I noticed when I was going through what I have in the house, I have some clementines here that need to be used up. I have some Greek yogurt needs to be used up. I have some nuts that I toasted last week, and I would like to use up some of those if I could. So that's kind of in my mind. I have cabbage needs to be used. I have apples needs to be used. I have onions. I have a grapefruit. So that's all fresh in my mind. I have peppers, onions, carrots. So that all made its way into the list. For example, Friday, I'm having my Greek yogurt, nuts, and grapefruit, because my grapefruit's getting a little soft, and coffee. I gotta have my coffee. 2 coffees every morning with cashew or almond milk. I prefer it with cashew milk. Now for lunch, I'm going to have a tuna sandwich with half a can of tuna, a glass of cashew milk, and an apple. Then for dinner or supper, depending where you live, I have a pack of wings in the basement that was kind of buried that need to be used, and I'm going to do up some homemade barbecue sauce with those. I'll do a nice chef salad, and we'll have a couple of coconut cookies, which are already done up and in the freezer. So you may notice here where I wrote chef salad, in parentheses I have a little arrow going down. I do that on a couple of the meals, and that tells me that I need to make enough of that for another meal later on in the week. So for example, we're having chef salad, but I also want chef salad on Saturday as a side. So on Saturday, we're having in the morning, we usually have a bigger breakfast on the weekends because my husband's home. We're having veggie omelets, coffee, and clementines. And then for lunch, I will have the rest of the tuna sandwich, tuna meat, blueberry almond milkshake. It's really only frozen blueberries and almond milk, so it's not really a shake, but it's really good. And then we're going to splurge a little bit on supper for Saturday. We're going to have poutine, which is, of course, being a French Canadian, or the wife of a French Canadian. I do have an Acadian background as well. Poutine is part of my meal list for the week. And the rest of that chef salad. So I won't dress the whole salad when I make it for tomorrow. I'll put half aside and I'll leave that without dressing on it, so it's still nice and crisp for the next day. And then we'll finish off those coconut cookies that we have. Sunday, breakfast, eggs and toast, coffee, clementines. Quick, simple, good. Now it's going to be a little chilly on Sunday, so we're going to have some tomato soup for lunch with some crackers and a serving of marbled cheese for the protein. the lactose free, of course, that I buy. Supper on Sunday, very excited about. We're having pork chops, which are raised on my cousin-in-law's farm. And we're going to have yellow beans that I did up from my own garden, and then an onion, apple, and cabbage saute. So you'll probably notice there's no carbs there in this supper. So, and there also was no carbs in Friday's supper. So I try to do like a meal with carbs, a meal without carbs, meal with carbs, meal without carbs down the list, because I was brought up meat and potatoes like a lot of you were, but it's not maybe the healthiest options, right? Kind of have to tweak a little bit as we age and as we get to know better. So that brings us into the start of next week for Monday. Now, my husband will be back at work on Monday, so he eats cereal all week, my homemade cereal that I make, granola. I'm going to have yogurt and granola, peaches, and coffee. Now, I know there's not a ton of granola left, so I'm only going to have it the one day. Then for my lunch, I'll have the leftover cabbage saute, and I'm going to sprinkle that with some of my toasted walnuts for protein. Now, we had pork chops the day before on Sunday. I have the little arrow in brackets, and I know I needed extra pork because today's meal is pork stir fry with rice and then ice cream for dessert. Tuesday morning, very excited. I never buy avocados, but I did notice they were on sale. So I'm going to pick up an avocado for myself and make avocado toast with an egg and coffee. And for lunch, I'll have half a can of ravioli. Yes, because I am 10 on the inside. I'm sorry, I love canned ravioli. I don't buy it all the time. I don't eat it all the time. It's just something that seems very comforting and childlike to me. So I'm having that with a clementine. And Tuesday is my leftover meal for the week, so leftovers from all the other days. And if I need to, I will bulk the plate up with beets. I have tons of frozen beets, and I just pop them in the microwave, and they're done in a couple minutes. And they really do fill you, which is great. So on to the last 2 days of the week, Wednesday and Thursday. So for Wednesday, I am going to have oatmeal. I like the steel cut oatmeal. It's still quick cook. You put 1 part oatmeal to 2 parts water in the microwave for 2 minutes. And I'll top that with nuts and raisins and of course my coffee. And I'll have the rest of the ravioli, the other half can, and an apple for lunch. And then I did notice when I went through the freezer that we have some smelts that are getting a little freezer burned. Smelts, we ice fish for them here in this part of the world. They're little fish about this long, if you don't know what a smelt is. They're really tasty. You fry them up and eat them. And I'm also going to have fiddleheads, which we did up in the spring. We can pick fiddleheads here along the rivers. So we pick them, clean them, blanch them, freeze them, and we can enjoy them all year. And then potatoes. And potatoes are in brackets with an arrow, which means I need to cook extra for tomorrow. Because Thursday, we're having oatmeal again, but this time with nuts and blueberries. We have blueberry bushes and I froze lots this year, so that's great. And my coffee, of course. For lunch, kind of want something nostalgic, so I'm going to have a grilled apple and cheese sandwich. And I do not make it with processed cheese slices. I make it with real cheese that I grate. Of course, once again, lactose free, which means I can't get a nice sharp cheddar. Just don't have them in the store around here. I have to do lactose free marble for the most part because that is what is here. Rarely I can find a cheddar, but I'll take what I can get. So the reason I need extra potatoes from Wednesday for Thursday's meal is I'm making gnocchi and a homemade meat sauce, which I already have in the freezer frozen. Don't even have to cook it, just got on thought. I'll have some garlic bread. I might not have the garlic bread, but I know my husband will want it. And Thursdays are usually my day to cook a little sweet up, and we'll have brownies and ice cream. So that will be a very nice end to the week's meals. So next Thursday I will sit down and do this again with what I have in my fridge. I'm assuming next week I am going to have to buy a little more than what I need this week. So because I have all my dinners made up, I can now do up my grocery list. So what do I need? I need avocado. I need milks, because you always need milk in the house. I need my milk and my husband's regular milk. I need ice cream. Seriously, that is it. That is my grocery list for this week. Unless I don't bake bread, then I will need to pick up a couple loaves of bread, which I didn't notice if there's any on sale. I'll have to run through the flyers on my phone and find out, because sometimes it is cheaper to buy it than it is to make it. So there we go. So how does all this save me money? It saves me money because I'm getting no waste. I'm using up what I have in the fridge, what needs to be used up before it expires. Things in the fridge that are on the verge of going freezer burned, something like that, they're getting used up. I'm also using some canned goods because I have tuna in there, I have the ravioli in there, I have tomato soup in there, and yes, I should be making homemade tomato soup, but to be honest, my husband likes just regular tomato soup made with milk. So that's what we're gonna have. So I've cleaned out a little bit of the cupboard, and most importantly, all my fresh veggies are not going to waste because they will be used up this week in the meal, as will the fruit. So it's zero waste, and using what I have a very small grocery list, and any extra money that I have left over from my grocery budget, which is usually $100 a week, I will put that directly onto debt. It's just a little way that we're trying to catch up. Anyhow, I hope that was kind of interesting to you. I really enjoy doing this and sharing it, and a friend of mine who has watched me do this says she thought it was kind of interesting how I do it. So I thought I would share. I hope it is. And remember to smile at somebody today, because they might need it just as much as you do. Love yous all. Bye.